In the eyes of others, this was just an ordinary milk carton. But in his eyes, it was the key to escape from prison. That man was Peter, a super prison break expert. He carefully smoothed the milk carton and gently peeled off the wax film on top. When he went out to the gym, he secretly covered the keyboard with wax film while in prison. Enter the password, for fingerprints would be printed on the film. Peel off the wax film and observe the 4 keys. From there, he deduced 24 ways to arrange the password combination. But how to touch the keys outside was a difficult problem. When he went to the toilet, he tore up toilet paper, dipped it in water, rolled it into a ball, and spread toothpaste evenly. He made many such balls, then squeezed them together with all his strength to form a large marble. Taking advantage of the moment the prison guard unlocked his hand, he secretly stuffed the paper ball into the small window lock. The window looked locked, but after the prison guard left, he could easily open the door with a light push if he was there directly. Trying the public password would be discovered by the prison guard through the surveillance camera, so it was necessary to understand the prison guard's operating rules. After a long period of careful observation, it was discovered that every time the prison guard finished patrolling, he would go to the rooftop to smoke. During that time, he had 7 minutes of unsupervised time. Peter seized this precious opportunity and quickly entered 24. The password combination finally opened the door. However, this was only a small step in the escape plan. He still couldn't escape this sturdy prison. As frequent escapees know, there must be 3 main conditions to successfully escape. First, he must understand the prison guard's daily operating rules. Second, he must be familiar with the layout of the prison. Third, he needs cooperation from the outside. Next, Peter needed to use the second condition, which was to learn the layout of the prison through careful observation. He realized that although the prison seemed as solid as a wall of copper and iron, it had a fatal weakness, the solitary confinement cell. What everyone did not expect was that the solitary confinement cell was located right next to the fire station without any defense measures. Peter deliberately caused trouble by being put in a solitary confinement cell. After opening the door of the solitary confinement cell, he quickly removed the ventilation shield and crept inside. Like a ghost, he quietly escaped right under the eyes of the 2 prison guards who were neglecting their duties. He climbed through the ventilation shaft to the fire station, immediately changed into a firefighter's uniform. The next step was the third condition, which was outside cooperation. The accomplices outside deliberately blew up a car. The fire raged fiercely. At this time, the firefighters quickly set out, but Peter had quietly hidden under the fire truck. Then, he blended in smoothly while the firefighters were busy putting out the fire. He took advantage of the chaos and leisurely sat in the car of his accomplices who came to pick him up. When the prison guards discovered him, Peter had already escaped. He was not a criminal but an extraordinary escape master. He was appointed by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, was assigned to check the security of important prisons across the country. Over the years, Peter had escaped from 18 prisons. No prison could hold him. It was no surprise that something unexpected was about to happen. That day, a beautiful girl suddenly came to Peter, claiming to be a CIA agent, wanting him to inspect a mysterious prison. This prison specializes in holding the most dangerous criminals. The CIA really wants to check the security of this prison. But the strange thing is that they have absolutely no idea where the prison is. It is clear that this is an extremely dangerous mission. But the unlucky atheist still firmly accepts it to ensure his safety. The assistant not only tells him the emergency code, but also injects a locator device into his shoulder to ensure Peter's absolute safety. When everything is ready, he confidently walks out onto the street, calmly waiting to be arrested. At this moment, a cargo truck suddenly rushed into the forest in front of him before Peter could react. They used a taser to knock him out and dragged him into the car. The car sped away like an arrow. The masked men cut his arm. Then, as expected, they tore off his sleeve and used a knife to brutally take out the tracking device from his arm. They seemed to have figured everything out. Finally, they injected Peter with a sedative. He fell into a coma. When he woke up, he was shocked to find himself in a high-tech prison never seen before. For the walls of the cell were made of transparent tempered glass. The prisoners here had absolutely no privacy. Even the guards wore masks to avoid colluding with the prisoners. The cells were built suspended in the air, making all previous escape methods useless. What was even more desperate was that each cell was equipped with a 360-degree spherical camera with no blind spots, not only monitoring every move of the prisoners 24/7, but also being able to see every strand of their hair not long after. Peter was brought to meet a well-dressed prison director. At first, he was very confident, but now he intended to abandon the mission halfway because he thought the method they used was too violent. Peter said the emergency code to save his life, but unexpectedly received cruel ridicule from the director, only with a series of codes to leave here. It was really an illusion, dreaming that he had been betrayed. Someone had spent a large sum of money for him to die in this prison, but Peter refused to sit and wait for death. He took the time to go out to the exercise yard to carefully observe the surrounding environment and the structure of the prison. But the result not only did not gain anything, but also made him shiver. The entire prison was built as solidly as a copper wall, an iron wall. It was really impossible to escape. What was even more sad was that as soon as he arrived, Peter was discovered by the thug in the prison. This guy was very aggressive, intending to teach the newcomer a lesson. Who would have thought that Peter was not a thug? He only took the first step and beat him up. However, just as he was about to counterattack, he was suddenly stopped by a gang leader named Mayer. Mayer took the initiative to rescue Peter. Then everything calmed down. Mayer took the initiative to express his desire to befriend Piter, but he firmly refused because he knew clearly that those who were friendly and flattering him for no reason were either plotting to harm him or had their own purposes, but Mayer was not angry because no one knew if he could see through Piter's motives or not. Before leaving, he also told him that if he needed anything, just come find him. He would be happy to help. Mayer quietly observed Piter's every move. He was even more certain that this person was the one he was looking for. The next day, when he went out to work, Piter constantly observed everything in the prison, trying to find even the smallest loophole. Seeing this, Mayer took the initiative to approach and talk to him, asking if he needed any help. Because Mayer was so enthusiastic and willing to help, Piter decided to indulge him. But no one expected Piter to make an extremely absurd request, which was to help him enter the isolation cell. Mayer tried his best to dissuade him from this idea, but Piter was extremely determined. Seeing this, Mayer could no longer refuse. He only hoped that Piter would not regret it. Mayer suddenly threw a very strong punch, knocking Piter to the ground to satisfy his almost perverted request. After that, these two men as strong as steel began to engage in a fierce fight. Tit for tat. Merciless. The scene was so tense that even the prison warden exclaimed in excitement. Immediately, the prison guard rushed into the cell and used an electric baton to knock both of them down. Finally, Piter was allowed to enter the isolation cell as he wished. He began to regret when dozens of headlights turned on at the same time. The dazzling light made him unable to open his eyes and burned to the point of burning. But Piter still tried to endure the pain, constantly observing the structure of the solitary confinement cell, trying to find a solution. But unfortunately, he still couldn't get anything. Piter didn't want to grope around the floor with his hands. And in the end, God did not let him down. He found a weak point, which was the rivets on the floor. However, Piter also paid a heavy price for this. He was exposed to the sun until he was exhausted like a pile of mud. After the doctor examined him, he determined that there was no danger to his life. Piter took this opportunity to secretly ask the doctor where this place was. But the doctor's face was full of hesitation, as if he wanted to say something but then stopped. Right at this critical moment, the captain suddenly appeared, growling, urging the doctor to hurry up. Seeing Piter tortured to the point of near disfigurement, the doctor also felt sympathy for him. The captain suspiciously asked the doctor about the content of the conversation, talking to Piter, but the kind doctor did not betray. Piter lied that the prisoner was just asking about health. However, the conversation between them was heard by Piter in a flash. He found another breakthrough opportunity when they left the isolation cell. Piter asked Mayer to help with something else, find a way to get him a metal lid, and promised that if Mayer could do it, he would take him out. Hearing Mayer immediately cheered up. He told the warden that he wanted to see the prison director. The warden was full of hope, thinking that Mayer would bring him a pleasant surprise. Unexpectedly, Mayer deliberately provoked him. The warden was so angry that he could not control himself, immediately ordered his subordinates to push Mayer to the ground. Then the warden used a high-pressure water hose to brutally stuff into Mayer's mouth and then flushed water into his stomach. Mayer almost suffocated. Taking advantage of the warden's carelessness, Mayer quickly crawled under the table to secretly take the manhole cover and hide it, although the warden was standing right above the manhole. But he did not notice anything unusual. Mayer then handed over the manhole cover to Piter in exchange for his life. Only then did Piter fully trust him and reveal his escape plan. Piter observed carefully. He guessed that there might be water pipes underneath the isolation cell. He also noticed that the entire prison was built in a vertical space, most likely built in a natural underground ravine. Just follow the water pipes underneath the isolation cell. Can climb to the surface. Next they have to go back to that scary isolation cell again to regain the freedom they've been waiting for. So without hesitation, Mayer stood up, determined to act. Piter also seized the opportunity, tightly grasped the bread in Mayer's hand, went straight to Javit, the leader of another gang, then began to deliberately provoke him, deliberately angering him immediately. A fight broke out on both sides, rushed in and fought fiercely, fought in the blink of an eye. A group of prisoners were attracted to them, quickly subdued and separated. Piter once again achieved his wish when he was put into the isolation cell setup. When the headlights turned on, he immediately took out the prepared metal cap, cleverly using the terrible heat of the headlights to focus the heat on the rivets to increase the light reflection effect. Piter used toothpaste to polish the cap until it was shiny like a mirror. Under the temperature of up to 100 degrees, the rivets will expand 0.03 centimeters. Then the rivets will automatically fall off. Piter continued to do the same with the remaining rivets. When all the rivets were removed, he quickly stuffed bread into his mouth and signaled Mayer to act. Mayer immediately acted out of play to attract the attention of the warehouse manager. Took this opportunity to use bread to cover the camera and quickly lifted the floor up. Who would have thought that there was a deep well below? Without much time to think, he immediately crawled down. He was surprised to find a small door next to him and his heart burning like fire, but Piter couldn't open that door. He had no choice other than continuing to grope forward helplessly. Just as he predicted, above the end of the tunnel was a row of water pipes. He didn't hesitate to cling to the water pipes, trying to climb up to buy time for Piter, so Mayer started pretending to be crazy and talking nonsense, which got the prison warden's attention. In the isolation cell, Piter was still desperately climbing up, but due to carelessness, he accidentally broke an electric wire. He almost got electrocuted. Worse still, he accidentally opened the water valve, and water gushed out. Piter didn't care about those things anymore and continued. He used all his strength to climb forward. After so many difficulties and hardships, he finally climbed to the top. Piter used all his strength to open the manhole cover. He finally saw the familiar sky, but before he could rejoice, he fell into the abyss of despair. He was horrified to find that the prison holding him was a giant oil tanker of tens of thousands of tons floating on the sea. What was even more desperate was that on the deck, There were many prison guards guarding him, holding guns in their hands. For Piter, flying up to the sky was as difficult as climbing up to the sky. But he had no choice but to helplessly return to the old path. But the situation was even worse. The pipe below had burst, so the seawater rushed out like a sudden flood. He slipped and fell into a well dozens of meters deep. Fortunately, the bottom of the well was filled with seawater. Thanks to that, he narrowly escaped death. Piter quickly surfaced. He was out of breath and had to try to swim back to his solitary confinement cell before the prison guards discovered him. But bad situations happened one after another. The solitary confinement cell had begun to leak water. Worse still, the leaking water had triggered the safety alarm. The prison guards began to urgently evacuate the prisoners from the solitary confinement cell. What was more worrying was that the water in the well was rising at a dizzying speed, quickly drowning Piter. He could only desperately swim up, fighting for survival. Just as he was about to drown, Piter finally swam back to his solitary confinement cell. He had no time to rest, so he hurriedly replaced the manhole cover. As soon as the prison guard opened the cell door, he quickly wiped the bread on the camera, pretended that nothing had happened, and walked out tiredly. He thought he had escaped by chance, but he didn't expect the prison guard to still find him. The rivet fell, however. The disaster didn't stop there. The traitor suddenly called the prison guard to inform him that Piter was a famous prison breakmaster, reminding him to strengthen his defenses and not let him escape. So, as to completely eliminate Piter's intention to escape, the prison guard used cruel tricks. Every time Piter started to sleep, the evil prison guard would deliberately knock on the glass, not giving him a moment of quiet rest. When he was so tired that he couldn't bear it anymore, the prison guard would sneak up from behind. He continued to torture him relentlessly. Piter was tortured to the point of near exhaustion. He was dizzy all day. He even fainted while walking. Even the doctor who examined him couldn't help but feel pity. But he didn't give in. When the jailer stopped, Father Tan began to secretly plan his escape after careful observation. He realized that although the jailers were wearing masks, their behavioral habits could not be hidden. He grasped the rules. The next thing they needed was a doctor's help, so Mayer didn't say a word and stabbed Piter straight in the thigh. Piter was also very stupid and didn't make a sound. He was taken to the infirmary. Piter tried to use the Hippocratic Oath to awaken the doctor's hidden confidence. He took this opportunity to ask where this was, but the doctor hesitated and seemed very embarrassed because he knew very well what the consequences of helping the prisoner would be. Piter realized that this method had failed. Seeing the medical supplies shelf next to him, he had an idea. While the doctor was stitching him up, Piter pretended to be in severe pain and deliberately knocked over the shelf. He took this opportunity to hide the hemostatic powder on his person. Piter was forced to execute Plan B. They had to know the exact location of the prison in order to plan their escape. So Piter told Mayer to get him a ballpoint pen. But that was not enough. "I need his glasses the next day." The fat guy suddenly turned into a pig's head. This was definitely Meyer's work during the meal. Piter quietly observed the warden's every move. Under the table, he secretly made a device to escape from the prison. He meticulously made something called a sextant. It could measure the angle between the horizon and the North Star, from which he could determine the longitude and latitude, and know their exact positions. Then Piter secretly gives the glasses to Mayer, but before he can explain how to use them, the prison warden in the surveillance room discovers their irregularity. To stop these two from colluding, Piter is suddenly brutally beaten by the warden and then violently dragged away. Worse still, he is kept in solitary confinement in the east section of the prison, and here he is alone to stop Piter from planning his escape. The warden does not let him into the dining room, does not let him out into the yard, does not even let him take a shower, all because the warden already knows his real identity. Seeing his plan is about to fail, Piter has to compromise. He claims that he can help the warden get information from Mayer. The warden reluctantly agrees to release Piter, but not knowing that this is all his delaying tactic. What is this? I played this card. He just gave the warden false information while secretly discussing with Mayer about the counterplan. They have to find a way to get the sextant on deck. And the most suitable person for this task was definitely Javit, Meyer's sworn enemy, because he was a Muslim. No one could resist the desire for freedom. Javit immediately went to the prison warden and made a condition that he must be provided with a Quran and allowed to kneel outside. Javit was a pious man anyway. The prison warden believed him and quickly agreed. That night Javit was satisfied and stepped out onto the deck, finally seeing the starry night sky that he had not seen for a long time. Taking advantage of the moment when the warden was not paying attention, he pretended to pray devoutly while secretly taking a sextant to measure the latitude. It was 35 degrees 25 minutes. This place was in the calm zone of the Tropic of Cancer. Combined with the countercurrent, it could be judged that the clock hands were in the northern hemisphere. A new prisoner who arrived yesterday said that yesterday was January 20th. In January, there was rain and warm air on the sea. This showed that this place had a tropical climate. If you want to build a prison at sea, you must stay away from the stormy Caribbean and Pacific seas. After eliminating the most suitable location, it could only be the coastal area of Morocco. This is an international sea. The waves are calm. The sea is calm and close to the mainland. Convenient for supplies. Coincidentally, Mayer has an acquaintance in Casablanca. Everything here is ready, just waiting for the right time. So Piter deliberately swallowed the hemostatic medicine and pretended to be pitiful to gain the doctor's pity. The doctor was like a kind mother. After a while of repentance, the doctor finally felt sorry, probably hiding, and recklessly sent the message. Next, it was Javit's turn to act. He deliberately reported to the director that Piter was preparing to escape. The director immediately followed Piter and found out that he was sending a code. After decoding, it turned out to be a plan to cause a riot in Area C. He checked the surveillance cameras yesterday and found that Piter had been in contact with people in Area C. The director believed it and immediately ordered to triple the number of guards in Area C, but he did not expect that this was a plan to lure the tiger out of the mountain. The ranks were carefully arranged, so the guard force in their area would be extremely thin. Taking advantage of the guards' inattention, Javed took the lead and caused a brawl between the gangs. The situation quickly became chaotic. At this time, the director suddenly realized that he had fallen into a trap. He quickly mobilized his forces to return, but it was too late. The three people took advantage of the chaos to separate and act. Hyder seized the opportunity and quickly knocked down a guard and robbed the coin. The lake and his weapon. The three quickly escaped quietly before the reinforcements arrived. They had to get on the ship at all costs within 11 minutes. Only then they would be in time for the helicopter to pick them up to avoid being detected by the surveillance camera. The rope quickly used their bare hands to disassemble the camera. Right before leaving, they did not forget to tease the director to laugh, but this caused them big trouble. The director calmly activated the blockade procedure as they were full of hope to open the manhole cover to escape, but in desperation found that the manhole cover was locked tightly with an electric bolt. They had to go back to find a new escape route. Although there was no camera at this time, their every move was still closely monitored by the prison guards. The prison guards quickly found them. Both sides were angry and a fierce gunfight broke out. But unfortunately, the Javed was shot in the stomach. At this time, a large number of prison guards rushed in like a tsunami. They fought and helped the Javed retreat in the life and death moment. In the end, they were lucky. They hid in a temporary room to escape. But Mayer did not understand why the prison guards found them so quickly. At this moment, Hyder suddenly saw a box in front of him, which turned out to be a motion sensor. He angrily smashed it. But sitting here waiting to die was obviously not the way the prison guards would attack sooner or later. At this time, Hyder made a risky decision. He told Mayer to carry the Javed up the ladder, and he would go to the engine room to cut off the power before the backup generator started working. The Nom tram will be down in 5 seconds. They will use this short period of time to escape, but this also means that Hyder will probably never come back. At this time, Javed is seriously injured. Mayer insists on taking him away, but Javed doesn't want to get involved. Everyone insists on staying to support them. Time is extremely urgent, not letting them hesitate any longer. Mayer has to give Javed a gun, then sadly leaves. Not long after, the prison guard uses a bomb to break the door and quietly sneaks in like a demon right in the middle of another time. Javed bravely stands up like a god of war and opens fire on the prison guard. However, the enemy is too numerous and the firepower is extremely strong. In the end, Javed can't resist and is shot dead. At this moment, Hyder rushes into the engine room like flying. He hurriedly turns off the power. However, this action also completely reveals his position. At the same time, Mayer seizes the opportunity to quickly open the manhole cover to escape. Fortunately, the rescue helicopter arrived just in time, 1,000 pounds hanging on a thread. Mayer immediately runs like flying towards the helicopter. However, a group of cavalry prison ferocious also quickly chased like a tsunami. After boarding the helicopter, Mayer did not choose to leave because Hyder had not returned yet. He quickly grabbed the heavy machine gun. At this time, he turned into a deadly destroyer, shooting at the enemy who was chasing Hyder, who had not escaped, was stopped by the prison director, who led everyone into the machine room. In this dangerous situation, Hyder quickly crawled into the water tank. However, the director and prison guards searched everywhere, but still could not find his figure. He began to mock him and asked him to obediently surrender, because according to him, at this time Hyder had grown wings. It was difficult to fly, but at this moment the prison guards turned on the power switch. Water began to flood into the tank. The director suddenly felt something was wrong. DAC Tang's smile on his face disappeared immediately after that. The machine system restarted to drain the water in the tank. Hyder was swept out to sea. At that moment, Mayer discovered Hyder was floating on the water surface. He immediately lowered the rope ladder down to save him. Hyder went up, but as soon as they was about to escape, when the prison warden suddenly appeared like a ghost and shot Hyder repeatedly. In the moment of life hanging by a thread, Mayer threw a pistol at Dave. Hyder immediately shot at the oil tank under the warden's feet. The oil sprayed out like a stream and quickly flowed across the ground. The warden was now stunned and wanted to run away, but it was too late. A loud explosion rang out. The fire flared up fiercely like a demon, burning the warden. Finally, after so many hardships, they successfully escaped. However, what they did not expect was that the woman who gave him the task was Mayer's daughter. It turned out that she wanted to borrow the hand of Hyder, a person with extraordinary abilities who wanted to rescue her father. It was no wonder that Mayer had taken the initiative to befriend Hyder from the beginning. It turned out that this was a trap within an extremely complicated trap. At the same time, Mayer's daughter revealed shocking news today. The people who harmed him were his 2 associates. After hearing the news of Hyder's successful escape, Ha hurriedly packed his things and tried to escape, but Hyder's assistant ambushed him in his car and easily captured him. When Ha woke up, he was horrified to find himself locked in his own car, and that car was placed in a container on a ship waiting for him. It would certainly be a miserable torment to live a life worse than death. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, please subscribe to the channel and leave your feelings about the movie in the comments section. Your support is the motivation for me to continue sharing more interesting content.